Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to, it's great to see this people coming back for more. Excellent. It's our 10th anniversary, so we're really happy about that. And you also should be happy. Today you're going to get to meet Diane Wilson, the unreasonable Texan herself. So that's great. I'm Joni Cooper, Director of Programming for DocLands. And this magic little festival that is brought to life by the California Film Institute team and volunteers, many volunteers. Thank you so much for supporting independent film and cinema, filmmakers and cinema, because this is how they get the accolades they need. I also wanted to say thank you to UC Santa Cruz, Break Free from Plastic, and Baykeeper for being such terrific community partners. That's great. Please silence your phones before we begin. That'd be great. And don't forget to vote. At the end of this, throughout the whole festival, make sure you vote for your favorite films. You don't have to vote for just one film, one vote, one film. You can vote in a way for all of the films. And this really helps the filmmakers out. It helps them provide some more promotion for the films that they're trying to find homes for. Please do that. You can scan your ticket on the QR code that will be on the screen, that's in the lobby, or on our website. There's a few ways to vote. So first off, I just want to say we have the pleasure of hosting Kyle Baker and the world premiere of his short film, Fog Eaters. So exactly. So we will have, we'll show that film, then there'll be a Q&A, and then we'll show HELLCAT and have a Q&A after that. And I'm delighted that we have the perfect Q&A host today. Will Perinello was not only, he deserves applause too. He's not only the advisor for Fog Eaters, but he has also co-produced the Emmy Award-winning series that introduces the world to the Goldman Prize activists from around the world. But I have to say, I'm most grateful to Will for his work as a DocLands advisor and a very, very active advisor for DocLands since year one, Will, 10 years ago. Thank you for that. So Will, come on up, and Will's going to be the host for the rest of the show.
Thank you, Joni.
Thank you, Will.
I'm so pleased, honored to be on the board of DocLands, and 10 years. A round of applause again, please, 10 years. Joni, Director of Programming. Mark Fishkin, Founder, Director of the festival. Pretty exciting. Joni gave you roundup of what we're going to do, how we're going to run the program. As a filmmaker, I think it's important to introduce the filmmakers and the protagonists of the film. Kyle Baker is an ethnomusicologist. He's got a Master's of Fine Arts in Social Documentary from UC Santa Cruz. And in addition to his work as a documentary film editor, all of us filmmakers have to have day jobs to earn a living. He edits films. What a great gig. Kyle has another cool side gig, making films for the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage. So a round of applause for Kyle. We'll talk to him. And we also have filmmaker Fax Barr with us, director of HELLCAT. Thank you. And of course, his film star, Environmental Defender, Goldman Environmental Prize laureate, my favorite environmental defender, Diane Wilson. Give it up for Diane. Woo! Fax has a diverse career. He was a one-time staff writer on the groundbreaking black comedy series In Living Color, showrunner and writer on Mad TV, one of the creators, and Emmy Award-winning filmmaker of Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse. Many of you remember that, a behind-the-scenes look at Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now. So I look forward to talking with the filmmakers after the films. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. And the incomparable HELLCAT, Diane Wilson. Woo! Congratulations. Beautiful. Yep. Congratulations. You're beautiful. Wonderful. Please, have a seat. Thank you, everyone. Keep that up, everyone. Wow, what an amazing film. What an amazing story. Thank you for all you've done for the earth, for all of us. Yeah. I know everyone wants to chat with Diane, but let me begin with facts.
You did it, after all.
It's epic facts. Not an easy film to make because it's such a gargantuous story, right? It's huge. How did you decide? Because, like ending it, it could have easily ended after the Formosa victory, right? And there's so much there. And so what was that process like, finding the thread, and how did you intuit your way through it all?
Well, really, most of the filming I did was after Diane won the $50 million. And so, I covered a lot of the formation of the Fishermen's Co-op and the ongoing issues with Formosa. And then this whole new thing came up, which was the dredging of the bay. And it just occurred to us that we needed to document the relentlessness of these industries, and that no matter what, $50 million, it's actually sort of chump change for those guys. But they're just going to keep coming after that bay. And one person can make a huge difference if they're as determined as Diane. So I felt like that was a really important thing, was to have a big win and then have another fight and then have a win and then have another fight and then have another win. And then what's going to happen? We'll see. But she's just going to keep going. So
Yeah, I mean, it is remarkable because I make films about Goldman Environmental Prize winners. I didn't get to make your film, but I mean, these fights never end. People assume here's this victory and then that's it. So let's talk a little bit about how the Formosa victory went on. You won 50 million,
Right.
and then they were obliged to mitigate. And what's happened? And what kind of other fights have you had to have with them? Because I'm not sure I understand those details.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing that is when you get zero discharge of plastics from a company that's been there probably 25 years, it's how you implement zero discharge of plastics and how you turn their mindset around, because they are used to doing whatever they please with all the support of all of the agencies and the officials. Matter of fact, a lot of them are some of their contractors. Like for instance, the mayor of Port Lavaca, he runs and checks on Formosa's houses. He's kind of like the landlord of the houses for Formosa. So you really have to get into their minds and be extremely persistent about implementing it and holding the line. You draw that line and you hold it, and so it's been almost 6 years, and we have been monitoring their waste stream. We had a engineer who designed a monitor system you can set on top of their wastewater pipeline, and you can tell every time they put plastic out. So, yeah, it's unbelievable. And it works, because we have monitored them since 2021, and they got zero discharge of plastic. And they're 2,500 acres, and they got 3,000 workers and 17 units, and we monitor them. We also got enforcement, and our mechanism monitors them 3 times a week, and so far they have had over 900 violations, and we have fined them. And it goes into the trust that goes into the into the projects in the county. And
Another
they-
40 million
40
they've racked up in
million
fines
Wow.
since 2019.
Yeah. And also, they've had to clean up their plastic that they did and that discharge all those pellets. It's cost them $50 million to clean up that plastic just in the creek. And we haven't even started in the bay. So it's a big issue on Formosa just implementing it and holding their feet to the fire and not letting up.
That's great. Congratulations, and thank you again. Facts. Your background reads like a kind of a who's who list. You've worked on a lot of commercial projects in living color, Mad TV, and you've made documentaries like Apocalypse, Filmmakers Apocalypse. But an environmental film is a challenge because not easy to fund, not easy to distribute. Where did you find the passion for this? What grabbed you? When did you decide, and how did you decide this is a
Not a
story?
lot of comedy in environmental films, for sure.
Dan can be pretty funny.
Aside from that. I feel like once my kids were pretty much grown, I started to look around and instead of focusing on myself and, my family, I started to look around and say, boy, I complain a lot, but I don't really do anything about what's going on. And so I started to just get involved with environmental issues, and we were involved in stopping, I joined Beyond Coal campaign in LA, and we got the Los Angeles Council to stop permitting or buying electricity from coal-fired power plants, for instance.
Nice.
And so you sort of get involved in these kind of things. And then I went to a fundraiser for Waterkeeper Alliance, which is, Diane is a Waterkeeper. Waterkeeper Alliance is a global organization, and they were celebrating some of their water warriors. I didn't really know much about the organization, but there were posters of their most successful waterkeepers, and Diane was one of them. And I was like, that's a character, and that's a great story to tell. And so we started Zooming, and I was just, every time I talked to Diane, I was like, this is just fantastic. And so we just scraped together some money and started shooting.
Nice. Nicely done. So, Diane, you recently took on another 32-day hunger strike. Maybe you can share with the audience why and what that's all about.
77 years old.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of plastic plants in Texas, and in our county, we had Formosa Plastics, and I had fought them. I really did. I fought them 35, 36 years. And another plant that was actually in Cedar, my hometown, was Dow Chemical. And the funny thing is we got all of Formosa's evidence by gathering it ourselves because it's not in the documentation. They didn't report it. The state environmental agency didn't inspect them for it, so we found it. And so I went down to Dow, got a little 17-year-old out of high school, and we kind of went up the canal to where Dow was at, and we started looking for plastic. And I'll tell you what, one of the first things we saw, it was 300 foot long, 30 foot wide, and it was like that deep in plastic. This is Dow. And matter of fact, to take a sample like we do, so I think we had a 50-gallon sack. We had 2 of them. They were filled with plastics. That sample weighed 107 pounds, and it was over 2 million pellets in one place, and it took 15 minutes to get it, and there was trillions of pellets, and that was just one little place we found. And we have been documenting it for almost a year and a half now to get this. And so we did a clean water suit. And what did the state of Texas do, who never does any enforcement? They kind of jumped the gun right before we filed a citizen suit, and they decided they were going to file something. And it was really, I believe, to totally shield Dow from experience in what Formosa Plastics had experienced with zero discharge of plastic. So that's why I went on a hunger strike, is to try to get zero discharge of plastic from the facilities in my home county and from the whole state of Texas. And so I was, and the thing you do when you do a hunger strike, you get in their face as close as you can get, and the closest was their ditch. I was right at their property line, and I was there 24/7. I had 3 tents, and I just sit there for over 31 days. And as a matter of fact, I took my demands over to the management. They would not take the letter. They said if I came again, they were going to arrest me. And I said, "You're going to arrest me for delivering a letter?" And he said, "I remember when you climbed the tower." And I did that like 12 years ago. I climbed their tower. And so he was still mad about me climbing their tower. And so anyway, I did eventually. I got arrested there. But you really have to do it. You really have to not be so polite, because we cannot beg for them to stop polluting our planet. I mean, you really got to be a little unreasonable. You really do.
Yeah, of course. 77 years old, you have more energy than almost all of us in this auditorium combined. But as you look ahead, do you kind of have sort of a global way or United States way of looking at what you'd like your legacy to be, what you'd like to see happen, kind of planning towards a plastics-free future of some sort?
Oh yeah, because I totally believe the writing is on the wall. It's a dinosaur way of thinking, and it is going to end, maybe not in my lifetime, but in my lifetime, I'm trying to get zero discharge of every plastic manufacturer, packing facility, and also the United States, and we should aim for a plastic-free planet. Yes.
I want to open it up to questions, but first, maybe you want to recognize some folks in the audience who
Oh,
worked
yeah,
on the film?
absolutely. Linda Peckham, would you please stand up? Linda is the editor of the film. Nothing would have been possible without Linda. Patrice Neal, who directed all the that archival footage of Diane the Boat. That beautiful footage, Patrice. Thank you so much for everything. Tanny and Bobby, our producers. Jeffrey Brown, please. Other producer. I'm not forgetting anybody. Uriah Hare, our director of photography, couldn't make it. Is there somebody, please?
Anyone else
shout
stand
at
up?
me if there's some. Oh yes, Sarah Shelkoff, please stand. Sarah's our producer, also. Isn't done it without any of this. Is a team effort for sure. I did want to say one thing really quickly. So, in the film, Diane says she drew this line, and at the risk of being kind of a jerk, I would like for everybody in this room to think about the line you're going to draw. Because we're out of time now, and it is time to find your line and really focus on it. And try and bring it up to yourself as a discipline every day. And what line, where are you going to say no? And I think that's the discipline that Diane has brought to me, and this film is trying to instill in everyone. So I hope we can do this thing, and if not, we're going to die trying.
Yeah.
We can no longer afford to be reasonable, I believe, is more or less to paraphrase. So let's open it up to questions. I'm sure we have a microphone. I'm amazed. Yes, right there.
You are truly blessed from above to do what you've done.
Thank you.
And I hope that you're still here.
Yeah. I really feel the Bay gives me, oh, sorry. I really, because of my attachment and passion for the water, I really feel it gives me an energy when I think I've lost it. It's that vision and that energy that keeps me going. I truly feel that, yes.
Right here, please.
Thank you so much. You restore my faith in
Ah.
humanity. You are just such an unbelievable, incredible person.
Thank you.
My question is, our environment is just so overrun. Like, these chairs are plastic. Like, where do we begin to just, like, you know, if I tried to give up touching a piece of plastic for a day, look at my toothbrush and my toilet seat, you know, I mean, it seems impossible. Like, do you have thoughts on, you know, how we can do better?
Well, let me just repeat the question. Where do we begin? There's plastics everywhere. What do we do?
Well, the thing of it is if I can just illustrate by the lesson I have learned for 36 years, is one, be patient and do not give up easily, is because I have found out, like I said, it took me 36 years to finally feel like I've really got a piece of justice with this zero discharge. But it took a long time, and also in the very beginning, people were not even talking about the plastic. There was no conversation. I would talk to any agency, and they just poo-pooed it, and and people really for a very, very long time, they said I was crazy. I was known as a crazy lady out there. And so the thing of it is if it doesn't first appear easily, is be patient and persist. And it will. I got total faith in that we put our energy out there, we go to the moon, we do all of these things. We can find an alternative. I have no doubt.
Great. Yes, right here, ma'am.
I wonder if your family appreciates actually and gets what we've done.
Ma'am, what was that again?
I wonder if your family
My family?
appreciates.
Does your family appreciate what's being done?
I think my kids do. I think my kids do, yeah. Matter of fact, this was the first time, one of my oldest girls, and it's usually when you do a hunger strike, it's the family who tries hardest. But this last hunger strike, my oldest daughter, who has been hell on wheels against me on a hunger strike, she supported me and was even calling the CEO of Dow, bad mouthing him. So yeah. I have.
Thank you.
My kids are great. Yeah.
But even her sisters who are,
Yes.
like MAGA Republicans,
Yes.
are concerned about microplastics in their bodies.
Yes.
And I think they're starting to support
Yes.
Diane
Yeah.
in this
Yes.
very, very new and
They are
very
so
striking world we're coming into.
Yes, gentlemen here.
What's the current health of your bay?
Well, right now we have brought in some scientists from Rutgers University who have been doing some of the cutting edge on microplastics. And as a matter of fact, the lady, Phoebe Stapleton, you saw, they are going to be doing a study, a health study on the impact of microplastic, because we're like ground zero for microplastic. It's in the fish, it's in the oyster tissue, the flesh. And so, but also the microplastics, the pellets, are picking up the mercury in the bay. And so they're going to do a health study. We're going to do a health study on the impacts of microplastics and pellets picking up the mercury, and then it in turn becoming in the tissue of the oysters and the fish and the shrimp, and people consuming it, and we're for the first time going to find a human health effect, because a lot of people there say, oh, I don't see things just turning over dead, I don't see any harm. And it's when you start getting human health effects, it's like people really start looking at it different,
There's a lot of other questions, but I want to make sure we don't run out of time to
Yeah.
talk about the impact campaign for the film. This is a film that needs to get out into the communities that are affected to create awareness and create change. What's planned for the film next in terms of impact and distribution as well?
Well, this is the kickoff for our festival run, and thank you, DocLands, so much for championing this film. We're really thrilled. So we're looking to do a festival festival run, but in the last fall in November, we did a microplastics conference, which we held in Diane's hometown. And this is sort of the prototype for how we want the impact campaign for this film to work. So the idea was we screened this film and a film called Plastic People. And then on the panels that we had, so the films sort of inspire people to learn about the issue. But then we brought in microplastics research experts who are cutting edge, finding out about what microplastics, the extent of microplastics in the human body and what those might be leading to health impact wise. And then we also had panels with local activists who were fighting the petrochemical plants in and around Matagorda Bay. And the idea is to replicate that in other fence line communities in Louisiana, on the Gulf, but also everywhere. I mean, it's here. It's in, Palestine, Ohio. Where those were plastic. That was ethylene dichloride going to a plastics manufacturing plant that spilled over there. It's everywhere. So the idea is we're trying to raise funds now to get this film into communities and focus on those particular communities and what people in those communities can do about it.
It's great. Right here, yes.
What about Netflix?
Yeah, we'll go to Netflix. They did another film that Diane actually was in called Dirty Money, which was about Formosa plastics. But one of the streamers for sure we're gonna go to, and hopefully.
Great.
I have a question for Diane, who is so connected to nature. And I'm wondering if the people that don't see the urgency, maybe there's people in this room, like, why are people so disconnected from nature? Why do you think that's an issue? Or
Well, I think, and I feel very fortunate, I feel very fortunate to have been born in a place. And when I was young, I really and truly felt this way because, we had fog, kind of like that first movie. And so Seadrift is a very small rural community, and we are probably the last authentic fishing village on the whole Texas Gulf Coast. And the heart and soul of the community was the bay and the boats and the fish houses. And I really, truly, when I was young, did not think there was anything beyond Seadrift because I never went out in the fog. You couldn't see around it. So it was like I was in this bubble of the bay and the boats. And I truly believe everybody has that connection. And I think the way our Western society is now, it's all linear and separate and logical and rational. Although that has its place, there's sometimes you need to feel this connection. And so I think it's something we have and we can regain, but it's like, I think we have to make a real conscious effort to nurture it back into our lives again. And I think we all can do that if we want to do it. And I think we should definitely teach our children, and that it's a part of the family. To me, the Bay was family, and that's why I fought so fiercely and still do.
It's great. I think Max did a great job by actually weaving through you talking about your Pentecostal upbringing and the connection between all of us and nature.
Yes.
And that's clearly, perhaps many of us run from our religious upbringings, and then we bring it back. So that philosophy is part of who you are.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Do we have time for more? One more question.
So 2 questions. Thank you. You faced so much corruption.
You're right.
And you faced attacks.
Right.
And so what did you find, what helped? Did you find sympathetic media? Were you lucky with the judge? What broke through? So I guess it's one.
Well, what kept me, for the most part, for the many years, and from really many, many years, I had absolutely nobody.
Right.
And, you know, and even after I had my lawyer, I didn't even have that. But I'm a bit of a loner. People don't believe this, but I'm an introvert. And I really am. I really am, I swear.
How old was you before you spoke? You were like 5 or something before you even spoke? Your parents were like, what's wrong with
But
you?
I do. I have self-evaluation, and I've never been the type that had to go to peer group to give me validation. So I find it within, and it took me a long time. I was 40 some odd years old before I learned to like myself. I really did. But it was going through that tough side that made me know who I was and that I liked myself. So, and it's true, if it don't kill you, it makes you stronger.
Well, what a great way to end it. I want to just speak to the audience. We love you. And everyone, please stand up one more time. Give it up.